Hi, welcome back to Stoney Creek Heritage Farm. I'm Bill, and I've got a story to tell you. It really is the goat's fault, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I know that I've got a lot of new viewers here, a lot of new subscribers, and I want to thank you for joining me. Now, one of the reasons we've been absent from YouTube, it really was because of the goats. We've been increasing our herd exponentially. We've decided that with the new place here, we're going to have to buy a lot of new stock and a lot of new breeding stock to get those kid numbers up for now the springtime to help make things work. But now let me catch you up to date what's been going on the last few months. Now, I started back in September. I went to the Oklahoma Hills sale right here in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, and I ran across my buddy Dutch.
You guys, today we're up here in Okmulgee at a big goat sale. You see me get the camera out, so then you come walking over here.
Actually, he had called me ahead of time. I knew that he was going to be coming, and I was going to meet him up there. I actually like to help out with that sale, and I had a couple of does in the sale myself. Now, along with meeting Dutch, he is meeting one of my friends, Josh from Bois Kikos down in Texas. Dutch was picking up a bunch of does from Josh. I'm going to let Josh tell you a little bit about himself and about his channel.
All right, we're Bois Kikos in Northeast Texas. We raise commercial, registered. So I just kind of started the channel, and what we're doing is just kind of filming how we go about rotating pastures, raising our goats, what breeding selection we're doing, going to sales like this, just kind of showing people about the Kikos.
Now, I'm going to tell you, if you've not visited his channel, you should do that. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below. I was able to meet him because if you recall, we got some new puppies in the spring. And one of those puppies is actually the brother to Josh's dog. I went to Missouri to pick both of those puppies up. We bought them in Missouri. I brought them down here to Oklahoma, and then he met me here in Oklahoma and took his pup home. Now, like I said, I've been trying to tell this story for several times. I'll show you a little bit of that here. So yesterday we went to a goat auction, and we picked up a bunch of new does. Now, one of the first things that we do when we pick up new animals, other than get them unloaded, we like to work those animals, and by that I mean we want to get some weights. I want to look at FAMACHA eye scores. I want to look at feet. I want to get a true hands-on of those animals before we introduce them into the herd. Now, with these, we're actually not going to introduce them right away because we do want to quarantine them. Now, we do have 3 small ones that we bought that's less than a year old. Now, as long as they show like they're in pretty good health or whatnot, we are going to go ahead and put those with our springborn doelings. Now, I'm not going to show you weighing and doing the score on every one of these goats, but here's a few so you can get the idea of what we were doing. Now, when I say FAMACHA, what I'm doing, I'm actually checking their eyelids. I'm checking for the paleness of that. I'm actually hoping not to see a pale eyelid. I want to see a nice bright red color. If it's pale, that normally indicates a parasite problem, and I'm going to annotate that on the paperwork that we're doing now. So one of the big questions that I always get asked, what am I looking for when I'm bringing new stock home? Now, I do, of course, look at the pedigrees, but to me, that's not the most important thing. I'm going to look at the animal itself. Now, here's an example of one of the does that we brought in, and I think this is a really good example of her. She's got a real wide chest. She's got a deep body. She's nice and long, and that's what we're looking for as far as does. We want a big-bodied doe, that she's going to have a good kid carrying capacity, and also that's going to indicate that she's probably going to have great kids that's going to have good market weights. So when we take them to either the slaughter market, the meat market, we are meat producing farm here. But then also if we want to retain any of those for breeding stock for either our own replacement stock, or I'm going to take those to additional sales like the Oklahoma Hills sale. So then, after I went to that sale, the very following weekend, we actually went up to Eudora, Kansas. I met my friend Kent up there. He has Slavens family farm, and he had a bunch of commercial does that he had available for sale. Now, of course, I couldn't bring them all home, but we did bring home, well, 23. Now, Kent was kind. He's one of the bigger producers, so he is able to give us a tour of his farm and how he does his setup. And then we got the first look at the does when they're out in their natural environment out on the pastures. Once we got back into the catch arena, or the catch area, it was kind of funny to see them, or funny to me anyway. Kent just went down the road there. He just started hollering, "Come on! Come on!" And before long, here they come. And they come. And they come. And they're still coming. But anyway, he finally gets them all in. And then we spend the next, I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 hours, believe it or not. We sorted through those. We touched every one of those does. We sorted ones off that we knew that we definitely didn't want to have. And then we sorted a bunch that we'd really like to bring home. Now, it's fortunate, my friend Wayne over at S&S Kikos allowed me to borrow his trailer, but it's still limited in size. So we had to choose the goats that we could actually bring home, would fit in the trailer, and I'll tell you that selection process was pretty hard. So once we got home that evening, we unloaded them into a stall in the barn into our quarantine run. And then the next morning, we did the same thing just like we'd done before. We brought them all in, we got their weights, we checked their FOMACHA scores, we got the baseline data on them. Then we kept those gals up in quarantine for the next several days. That way we could just monitor them, see how they were doing, and just kind of get a feel for the animals, let them get used to us, new feed, and that sort of thing. Well, after we'd gotten those does all settled in, now it's back on the road again, and I took a trip to Corydon, Indiana, or Corydon, Indiana. Who's from Indiana? Who can tell me how to pronounce that? Well, anyway, I went out to the Cream of the Crop Kiko sale, and I had a blast out there. It was a great auction. There's a lot of fantastic animals out there, and I wish that I could have brought a bunch of those home. And I did end up bringing a few home. All the Kiko breeders auctions, they're going to have workshops throughout the days, the day prior to the sale or 2 days prior to the sale, and even the morning of the sale. And there's a lot of great information, as well as getting all the Kiko producers together, and you can pick each other's brains. You can see what's working well for someone, what's not working well, what they've seen, what they've not seen. So it's really a great time for fellowship other than just going to the auction itself. Now, one of the other things that I truly enjoy about these auctions, they've got great food. Now, a lot of the gals get together and they put on a big spread, and you get a free meal.
Hello. You're gonna be YouTube famous later. I'm just telling you.
I wouldn't do that.
No, not at all.
Before the auction, they want to make sure that everyone's their bellies are full and everyone's ready to throw up that bid card and try to bring some goats home.
If anybody else 9 1/4, 9 1/2, gotta go 9 1/4, 9 1/2. Sold 9 1/4, 6.
After the sale, I got the goats loaded up. Time to set the GPS, and we're on our way home. Yep, I drove that straight through, and if it wasn't for energy drinks, I don't think I could have. And I've decided I'm probably not going to drive straight through anymore. Staying over at a hotel midway through, that would have been the better plan. So just as before, we still weighed those. We did our FOMACHA scores, we got our baseline weights, and then we put those into quarantine. Now, in between the auctions, when I brought home several goats at the same time, and when I went up to Kansas to buy those commercial does, I was buying onesies, twosies here and there as they became available. And then one of the things that I was able to purchase was actually some Spanish cross does. Now, a friend of mine, Kevin, over at Hidden Heights Farm, he raises Spanish, and he is telling me, Bill, you got to try Spanish. They're the best thing since bread and butter. So I figured I would give it a shot. These, I ended up buying 6 of them. They're supposed to be bred. So we're going to find out in March if they actually were bred or not, bred from the original breeder. Now, when I brought them home, I went ahead and put them in with my bucks because I wasn't going to miss the breeding season. So I'll know by the date if they were bred prior to coming to the farm or if they didn't get bred until they got to our farm. Now, one of the things that I purchased after getting all these weights and doing everything, I had to get a tilt table. Now, that's going to be for a story for another time. I'll show you more about that and how that operates. I'll tell you what, it sure is a time saver, and I'm only kicking myself for not getting it years before. So now I think I've got you caught up to about the end of November. Now, one of the things that increasing numbers like that, we've had to get a lot of hay. And having round bells out here, that certainly helped out a lot. Now, along with the hay, we've had to get some new equipment. We've got a new to us tractor, and it's large enough to move those round bales around. plus do a lot of the other big things here on the farm. Now with a lot more mouths to feed, we've got the hay in place, we've got the larger equipment, I needed to get fencing up. So that's right, we've been doing tons of fencing. In fact, some of the fencing that we did get accomplished, that's why these does can be out in this pasture behind me. We got our perimeter fence completely done on our west side, and I was able to open up this pasture for these does. Now this will be my buck pasture, but for where I had my does originally, or actually there's still does over there, I didn't have enough housing to be able to put these does in our original does and some of the other acquisitions that we've gotten all underneath the same roof, or even multiple roofs, and we're going to be kidding at different times. These girls here, they're not due to kid until March. So I wanted to go ahead and leave those over here, and we moved the bucks into a different area for right now. Now some of you follow me on Facebook and you know that I've gotten some new tools for the fencing. Don't worry, I don't have near all the fencing done, and we've still got a lot to do. So you're going to be able to see me employ some of those tools, and again, that's for another story at another time. But I've got lots of fencing still to show you, so don't feel like I've shortchanged you on that, guys. Now along with some of the other equipment, was actually able to pick up this 14-foot stock trailer. Now it needs some TLC before it's roadworthy. In fact, 2 of the tires won't even hold air. They're showing cords. They're just funny. It doesn't have a floor in it at all. We've got to replace the floor. We're going to have to put new lights on it, rewire the thing. And I figured that would be a fun project to bring you all along on. And that's going to be happening in the soon time, because once we get these market kids, once these kids are born and we get these market kids up to weight, I'm going to have to use that thing to take them to market, because my little 2-stall horse trailer is not going to be big enough. So that's going to be a project that I'm going to have done before May. So that'll just be something to look forward to in the future. Now some of the other things that we've gotten accomplished, and they're also for other stories, we did get all the poultry moved out of our shop. We've got our peacock house completed. We've got our ducks moved. And our chickens are enjoying running around here. So speaking of kids, I didn't have enough roof space for all the does that are imminently due for kidding. We had a storm coming in. I had kids that due the very next day, believe it or not. So my son and I worked on getting a roof installed. Now other than just installing the roof, I had to have some gravel brought in, and I spent the morning putting gravel in where the floor is going to be. The night before, we'd actually set the post. And once that gravel's in, we spent all afternoon, and we got that roof put on right before the rain started coming down. Now I didn't get the metal put on. The metal was special order. It didn't come in time, so I've just got a canvas tarp over that now. It seems to be working out well, and the girls seem to enjoy it. Now speaking of kids, we got that roof done just in time. We've got babies. And there it is. It was breech. That's right, we've got tons of babies. Now of course I'm going to be flooding this channel with baby goat videos for the next several months, because who doesn't love a baby goat, right? But don't feel like that you've missed out on anything, because we're going to be kidding in 3 different waves. Now our first wave is primarily completed. We still do have 4 does left to kid in this first wave. Then we're going to have a second wave of kids happen in February. And then our third wave is going to happen in March, when these girls out here have their kids. So trust me when I tell you, you're going to get to see kid videos. Now of course, goats don't do math. We do have a bunch of first-timers having kids, as well as some old hats having kids. But we're going to anticipate 120 to 130 kids out here by the time our kidding season's done. I just want to take a minute to thank you. I appreciate your patience with me on not getting a video out in the last couple of months here. I'm really going to promise to try to get those out more frequently now. I'm back on track. I'm pretty much caught up. We've got a good routine going with all the kids coming on board. We've got places to put all of our animals for the time being. We've still got a lot of fencing to do. But I just wanted, you know, I sincerely appreciate you. I appreciate your patience with me during my lapse of being on YouTube. I also wanted to give a big shout out and thanks to all the new subscribers. I've gotten, I don't know, tons of you have subscribed when I've not even put a video out, and that means a lot to me. And hopefully I'm going to make that up to you by being more frequent on these videos and letting you know what's up to date on the farm. If there's something specific you want to see that we do here on the farm, be sure to leave that in the comments below. There's been viewers in the past that's asked to see something specific, and I don't have a problem videoing as long as it's something that we're already doing. Well, as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next video.